health and a little wealth and a lot of love.
I retired at 26, and this is how I did it. When I was 22 years old, I was married super young, and I was thrust into a world where I was a full-time student, I had a full-time job, and my first year I made $18,400. So you know what I did? I decided to take all of my hard-earned money, and instead of like, hey, let's actually buy something stupid like a plasma screen TV or a car, I actually bought a house. No, not a house to live in. My first house I did live in, it had a basement apartment. The rent from the basement covered the cost of the entire mortgage so that I live upstairs for free. You know what I did with all the money that I made on this? It built equity. There's money in here, you hear it? And you know what I did with that money? I took it out of the house and I bought another house. You know what that house did? It made me $130,000. You know what I did with the money from that house? I bought a third house. I used the third house to buy a fourth house. By the time I was 26, I had 25 homes. They paid me $12,000 a month if I didn't work a day in my life. So I quit my job. I became free. Retired at 26, and this is how.
That's a lot to unpack. First of all, this is a great way to do it, to build wealth. And there's a lot of things that have to align here. It's not as easy as he says it is. I guarantee you he's not doing that as much anymore. In fact, his name is Chris Crone. I follow him pretty well. He does a lot of private equity investing, I believe, in real estate. And he's doing like bigger fish. So obviously he's not doing those onesie-twosies anymore. Is this a good strategy? Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Is it a good strategy right now? Probably not, because interest rates are so high and the homes are so a lot more expensive. The average median home now is $350,000. So we did a whole episode on that, like what the costs of homes are. But at the end of the day, you still can do it. You just have to do it strategically, and I'll get into that in just a second. And so I want to tell folks that the best way to get started is just to get started. You're not going to learn everything. Back in the day where you don't have access to everything, you have access to everything now, like ChatGPT, you have your Google, your Bing if you're into Bing. You can Google and research anything out there. So if something breaks, or if you need a contract for a tenant, or if you have legal issues, like you can always start there to be as resourceful as possible. And I really love the fact that he said he lived upstairs for free, and then in the basement, he pretty much rented the basement out. I think that's a brilliant strategy. Every time I invest in real estate or buy real estate, Emily knows exactly what I'm talking about because it's something we're exploring heavily right now. But how do we diversify and increase the rental income? You know, I've done that in my entire, like house hacking is something I will talk about. How do you live for free? I think is huge fan of that, especially if you think a little bit differently than most folks. You know, get that 3-bedroom apartment and then rent out to your people on Facebook. Yeah, there's risks there, but if you have a system in place, I had a system in place, and I'll talk more about that as the episode goes on. But that saved me all of my money. And so I traveled to 30 plus countries and I invested and I had all these great things going on because I live for free. So yeah, I'm a huge fan of building real estate. I will leave this with you guys. One last thing. 90% of millionaires invest in real estate. It's even said that most people who are millionaires, millionaire status, comes from real estate. It's a great diversification. You know, there's no one that I don't know is not investing in real estate who has a considerable amount of net worth. Get into it. And I'll talk about how you can get into it if you're not making 6 figures, or if you're having, you know, you don't have as much disposable income. You can still do it. I'll show you how to do it. So yeah, that's my refactions. So it's not easy. And yes, it can be done even right now in this environment. It's harder, but it can be done.
So that's a little appetizer for the remainder of today's episode, where you'll get a little bit more into the details.
With a little health and a little wealth and a lot of love, that's a life that we live. Suits and scrubs.